And sort of a nice thing, we will have Deputy Fire Chief Chad Krieger introduce our newest member of Fire Department of North Huron.
Well, that's news to me. I'll introduce Chief Marty Bedard, and he can do what he does. He's done many introductions this week of what he's doing now, so he's well rehearsed.
Okay, well, as you said, my name is Marty Bedard. I'm the fire chief in Huron East, and as everybody knows, now in North Huron. I've been fire chief for 15 years, on the fire service for 24 years. So I'm looking forward to working with everybody and getting going.
Welcome, Marty.
Thank you.
Okay. Number 1.2, not near as good a story. We've had 11 interesting years, most of them pretty darn good, though. It's our Director of Recreation and Facilities has chosen to look at another job so that we have, what, 2 weeks, well, a little over 2 weeks left. Thank you for all your service to North Huron, Pat. It's been very interesting working with you. You are a person that got things done. So thank you very much. If council wants to make any comment at this time, that's okay. Or if you just want to do it later at some other time. Councillor Vaughn.
I've had occasion to work with Pat on many projects, and he's going to be sorely missed because she's always ready to help. She has great ideas, and she keeps things moving. So I'm really going to miss her.
Okay. Thank you. Moving to point 2. I guess I'm supposed to ask for a motion to accept the resignation. I was trying to skip that. Councillor Syed, Councillor Hallahan, all in favor? And that is with deep regret. Okay, moving to confirmation of the agenda, and it will be as amended. There's that to include a North Huron Westcast Community Complex HVAC point and an additional item under 13 of the closed session, Blyth Hubbard landfill information for council. Do I have a mover for that? Councillor Vaughn, Councillor Ritzman-Tenenga, all in favor? Carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest, if any. None noted. Moving to the consent agenda. Is there any points that people want pulled out? Okay. Do we have motion to accept?
I'll move to accept it.
Okay. Councillor Syed, Deputy Reeve Campbell, all in favor? Carried. Okay. And in point 5 or 5.1, Karen Stewart, Deb Scholdice, and Zuit, with live BIA updates. on RTO4 Destination Animation Fund initiatives. Welcome.
Good evening, Reed Vincent, councillors, staff, and special guests. Tonight we're here representing the Blyth and Area Business Improvement Association to tell you about new funding through the Blyth Destination Development Partnership. Individuals, organizations, and businesses, 15 in all, submitted applications for $53,198 to this new co-investment program. Funding has been approved for $27,500 through various projects that will animate the village of Blyth for visitors and tourists alike, and residents alike, sorry. We're seeking the Township of North Huron's assistance with a new artisan market, for which we'll share the details through our presentation tonight. Then at the end, I'll briefly outline many other projects that were approved to animate the village of Blyth. Our representatives here tonight are myself, I'm the chair of the Blyth Area Business Improvement Association, and Deb is the vice chair and the project coordinator for the artisan market, and Amy is the market coordinator.
So the first project that we want to talk about is the Blyth Artisan Market, and this was through some brainstorming sessions through the BIA's marketing committee about a project that would help to animate the downtown. So this initiative is really designed to attract visitors to the downtown and to encourage visitors to both the theater and the Cowbell Brewery to spend more time in town. So we're doing a really good job at attracting visitors to those major attractions. But what we want them to do is spend a little bit more time in town and maybe a little bit more money. The market is going to run on Thursdays from 3:30 to 8, and it will feature a curated selection of local vendors selling produce and artisanal products. We're going to also use some of our budget that we're getting from the RTO fund to bring in different local entertainment to be a feature. And we've discovered through research that one of the most engaging ways to make a market successful is to make it a community gathering spot. And by adding entertainment to the market, as well as these excellent produce and crafts and arts, we're hoping that that brings local residents and tourists into a common area. We're currently working with all the downtown businesses to make sure that the market enhances the experience and that it increases foot traffic. We don't want this market to take away from anybody's experience. It's really designed to help everyone. And we're brainstorming right now on ways to make sure that it's not competition for the downtown businesses. And we're going to showcase those businesses at the market in various ways. We're going to have a tent there that is the BIA tent. Our final location is scheduled to be the parking lot behind 437 Queen Street, but the current construction schedule will require us to find an alternate location from May 31st to the end of July, or whenever the lot becomes available to us. So we are requesting the Township of North Huron's permission and assistance to close Dinsley Street from Queen Street to the alley. So that's sort of between North Huron Publishing and the Blyth Festival office. We felt that this spot was visible to the theater patrons, accessible and easy for the market audience to visit the downtown core. And we think that it also provides the safest alternative. We are working with Blyth Festival, North Huron Publishing, the Legion, and Hotel Lux to make sure that those businesses stay accessible. They're going to always be accessible to pedestrian traffic. So our biggest concern is working with the theater to make sure that whatever they need the loading dock for can be accomplished outside of those hours. We're also scheduled to operate 4 Sunday markets to enhance the experience of theater attendees coming to town on those 4 Sundays, and making sure that there's lots going on to keep those people also engaged with Blyth. Coming in on Sunday, sometimes there's not as much going on. So there may be 2 Sundays that we also need that road closed before the 437 Queen Street parking lot is ready. We're going to work with township staff to create a safety plan for vendors, volunteers, and patrons. and the block would at all times be accessible to pedestrian traffic. As a committee of council, we are requesting that the artisan market be endorsed by council and that we can operate under the township's insurance. We are working to develop our policies and applications in adherence with the township's licensing bylaw. All vendors are going to be required to provide proof of insurance or apply to purchase, and all food vendors must be registered with the Huron County Health Unit and supply proof of registration. We have a professional coordinator, Amy Zudho, has experience in operating a market and has worked with both Goderich Farmers Market and Bayfield Farmers Market. And she's currently an owner and operator of the Goderich Makers Market and the Makers Mercantile. So that is our plan. It's a very ambitious timeline that we are looking for to accomplish this, because we had hoped that we would be able to open it in time for barn dance, but we didn't hear about the funding until too late to come to a meeting before this. So we are working really quickly to get our vendors in line, and we just want to make sure that we're getting all of our I's dotted and our T's crossed. Thank you.
So just quickly, I'll tell you what some of the other projects are that we're doing this year in Blyth for the whole year. So the Home Down Holiday Weekend, this is November 30th to December 2nd. So in the past, the BIA has hosted the Light the Lights, which has been a nice little event on a Saturday night where we just light up the trees and have caroling and hot chocolate, that sort of thing. This year, we want to expand it to include things like a chili kickoff, a jazz concert, a charity trail run, Santa Claus parade, a personal appearance by Chris Kringle for children, Legion Christmas dinner, a family dance with a live band, a fire's breakfast, free skate, movie viewing, a local celebrity reading of the CBC Christmas Carol, as well as a maker's market, crafting tables and read competition across all the businesses on Main Street. So we want to just really expand this weekend so that people will come in and spend the day and make it a real festival weekend. Gil Garrett is the lead on that for the BIA. Second project is Discover the Natural Palette of Blyth. So this one is the Fashion Arts and Creative Textiles. We'll be taking, so due to the aspects of its geography, which is water, soil, and climate, the locale will produce its own range of colors from dye stuff found naturally in its environment. It's like a wine in different regions has its own terroir. So do colors from plants and barks and things that are growing in these areas. So using foliage, plant matter foraged in the village of Blyth, marigolds from gardens, leaves found on the G2G trail, onions from local restaurants, for example. FACS will offer a natural dye workshop where participants will create natural dye baths and dye local wools to explore and discover our natural palette. The third project is called Historic Plaques and Portraits Project. Blyth calls itself an historic village that struggles to find avenues to make its history accessible to visitors. The Historic Plaque and Portraits Project aims to bring Blyth's extraordinary human interest stories alive by highlighting something light or emotionally poignant. Architectural plaques will be hung on the outside of buildings. These will have things like a QR code or some sort of a tool to hook it back to our website so that they can find out more about the stories on our website. And these will reference remarkable events that happened within the building, while portraits of people of interest who once occupied the building will be placed inside the building. David Sparling is the lead for the BBIA on that project. Building Blyth's online brand. Through this project, we'll work with a leading digital and traditional media provider to consolidate our online networks, identify key elements for a successful web presence, design and develop a modern dynamic website, utilize search engine optimization, understand the components of social media, and build a social media campaign on verified social channels. And I'm the lead on that one for the BIA. Flower Me Blyth. So imagine two human-shaped topiaries sporting historic dress that instead of exhibiting heads have a place for people to put their own heads. The Flower Me Blyth project is a living hole-in-the-head tourist attraction. Unlike the flat painted boards of traditional hole-in-the-head tourist attractions, this version is made up of impatiens and ivy growing on wire and dirt structures adorned with some burlap accessories. An empty wire oval indicates where people's heads should be placed for photographic opportunities with the hashtag Flower Me Blyth. Pick a Posy is the lead on that project. Other projects that are in the works, Reese's Bicycle Tours. There's a young 16-year-old, Reese Sparling, who's putting together guided bicycle tours in the village this summer, and that's an independent project. True North had put in an application to do a benches and a seating area on the outside of their building, which is right distance where the market is going to be at the beginning, right beside the Citizen Building. And we're still working on the Gateway project, although it's got a slow start, but that's the southern welcome to town. So those are the projects that we're working on in Blyth this summer.
Comments or questions from council? Please.
I think you come up with some very good ideas. Hope you are success.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll sleep in December.
Thank you.
Councillor Slade?
Yeah, I think the municipality and the Wingham BIA might want to take some initiative too as to getting some of this information about the online branding. When you obviously through that process, the municipality can gain some understanding of how we make our marketing more network and how our network is better improved. So like the Economic Development Committee could be associated with that, but also just our overall network presence from the municipality. But it'd be interesting that the Wingham BIA gets some information back from you, Karen, or the BIA from Blyth as to how that works, because I think that would be interesting for them to at least have the information. They can take it how they want and utilize it how they want. But I think collaboration would be best, I think.
Sorry, I was remiss too when I introduced Amy. She's also the capacity building coordinator at Blyth Memorial Community Hall, which I'm helped find that position. So just so you have a face to the name, Amy's also on that project.
Councillor Vaughan?
I don't want to be the dark cloud here, but I think we might have trouble on the insurance issue.
For which? The farmer's market, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my thought anyway, that we've had some issues come up with regard to that sort of thing. I don't know what the result will be, but I just wanted to alert you to the fact that it may be an issue.
Yeah, so it's a lot for council to absorb their entire plan in this short presentation. Our department has had a chance to meet with this very keen team, and they've got a lot of great ideas. My recommendation with respect to the artisans market might be for council could request that our departments, Public Works and Recreation and Facilities, bring back a brief report at the next meeting. I know there's involved here is a special event information as well as closing of the road. There's a few issues like insurance for council to consider. And so I'm just making that as a recommendation as a next step. We can work with that team and bring back council some information to make a recommendation.
Okay, I would, if council wants, I would take a motion to that effect at this time. Councillor Vaughan, Councillor Hallahan, is discussion. Councillor Slade?
One thing I think for me, I would like to know what we've also provided to, as council, what did we also provide to the Wingham Farmers Market? I know it's not the same, but I'd like to make sure that we should be encompassing the same value for the same value. So if whatever we've given one, obviously we should be at least, in my opinion only, we should be at least consistent, if not anything. So, you know, if that report could have some type of what we've provided those groups as well, that would at least help me understand what we've provided versus what we're not going to provide.
I think that can be worked into the report. Okay, anybody else? Okay, all in favor of that motion? Carried.
Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, 5.2, Denise Lockey. And this is a presentation of Taking Pride in North Huron video.
Good evening, Vincent, Council, and guests. I am Denise Lockey from the North Huron Recreation Department, and I had the privilege of working with two students from the university. I have lots of notes, but I don't really like to go with notes. The University of Western Ontario, and they were two students that were doing media relations. They had contacted us just expressing an interest. This class usually goes within the town or city of London and works with non-for-profits and other organizations to try to give them a means of having some video taken, producing a video so they can use that for their marketing purposes or whatever. And these two wonderful girls really wanted to venture out. They had to rent a car because they're students and from the city. So they ventured all the way down from London to North Huron on a very stormy day. It was March 9th. As you can see, it changes so quickly. Our focus for the production was they really wanted to show how North Huron is a community, how you can live here, raise your family here, and also work here. So we decided to go with three different venues. And one was a young couple that live and work and raise their family here in North Huron. The third person was the artistic director at the Blyth Festival, and Gil also was in the video. Also, we had a local optometrist who owns a business here and works here in North Huron and was very descriptive on why she loved being part of this municipality. So this adventurous day was so exciting. It made these strangers into North Huron friends and was a reminder to me why I love living here, working here, raising my family here, and making that work and personal life balance work in every aspect. So I'm very proud of this. It's a really good video. So I hope you like this production.
Just want to hit the lights there. So
Yep, just all three. Thank you so much.
Thank you. As you push play, you have to ask Richard. Just click play there.
What are you doing 15 minutes after quitting time? Are you dancing the waltz with your friends? Or playing a game of hockey with your neighbors? North Huron has more to offer to its residents. And we would like you to meet some of them.
My name is Gil Garrett, and I'm the artistic director of the Blyth Festival, the Blyth Center for the Arts. In the midst of this rural community, the thing that keeps me here is really this extraordinary and vibrant theater company and arts community that is actually rivals any theater in the country. And yet here it is, you know, in the midst of Huron County.
I'm Sarah Baird, and this is our little guy Quentin, and he's almost 8 months.
I'm Ron Baird. I work in the community at the local hospital, and I've been there for 6 years.
North Huron has a lot to offer. It has that small town feel and always makes you feel at home. I know for Quentin's age, we're lucky that there's a municipal daycare in town, and also they have early years programs for him, so there's lots to do with for the little ones.
My name is Catherine Alton. I'm an optometrist. I work here at the Wingham Optometry Clinic, and I have worked here for many, many years. Running a business in North Huron it's always a challenge running a business, but I think we're supported with so many resources. The Wingham BIA is very supportive. They've got a lot of initiative to try and have businesses thrive in the community. I think there's a lot of opportunity to interact with other business owners because it's such a small, feeling community that you can't hardly go to the bank or the post office without running into other either business owners or other people working in the community. So it's very collaborative that way. I think the spirit of North Huron is something I would describe as thriving. We have people that are so passionate about their community. The service clubs are really, really doing well. They're doing great things for the community, but in turn, the community wants to support them. I think you will find North Huron is unique in that many, people come here for the activities and the events, but also they're sticking around, to visit and to, the food and drink and that type of thing. I think North Huron, for people that don't know about it, they would come here and I think be surprised how much we've got. We're not just rural, we're rural and thriving.
Be it to start a family, or to look for business or work opportunities, or to enjoy the community spirit. Discover the opportunities that North Huron has to offer. Come and visit us. In North Huron, everyone is welcome.
Comments, questions? Councillor Syke.
That is, that video right there represents exactly why I'm sitting here. It represents why I have a family in North Huron, why I had a business in North Huron, why I participate in North Huron. That right there is what we need to be talking about more in North Huron, and not the negative aspect of what it is, because that's the type of stuff that's going to grow our community. And we have challenges, no doubt in my mind. We're going to talk about a lot of them tonight. But those are the good things that we do have in this municipality that we have to continue to bring to the table and bring people in to show them what type of stuff we have. Some of the stuff is not what other municipalities have that are much bigger. So those are the things that we need to develop through our municipality, through our marketing, through our branding, because that's the stuff that people look for when they're looking for a community. They're not going to look at the budget. They're not going to look at this. They're going to look at what do we have, what can you offer me, and what do other people say about the community that they live in. And that's the stuff that we need to be starting to spread around. So congratulations to the group that did it. Congratulations to you, Denise, because I think that's it's definitely something that's been not necessarily missing, because I think we have had it. It's just not in a production like this. But I really appreciate the fact that two young artists chose to take the trek down Highway 4 and past a lot of communities to come to here, because they could have stopped somewhere else. And that's the part that I think is very important. So yeah. Thank you.
The two girls that actually did this production are both from the city. And by the time that we were done, they both had said, wow, like this place is amazing. And you have to understand this was just a snippet of one day. I explained to them how they had just blessed Family Funapalooza Winalooshthon. They had, in the fall with the threshers and barn dance and all the things that go on with Blyth Campground, that there is a lot going on. So you have to understand that they just had a day snippet. And we tried to get as much in, but with all the trails and all that kind of stuff, they were really amazed, in awe, willing to move here. So I felt like I had did my job that day.
Councillor Richmond
I
Domingo.
just want to echo Trevor's sentiments and congratulations, Denise. That was a fantastic presentation. Thank you so much. It really does speak to the heart of this community, and thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you, Denise.
Have a good evening.
Okay, moving to 6.1, Clerk's Department, 6.11, Blyth BIA updated constitutional levy. Richard?
Thank you, Revented. So the chair of the Blyth BIA had submitted a letter which was attached to this report. The request is that an updated constitution be considered by council for the Blyth BIA, as well as revisions to the minimum and maximum of the levies for the Blyth BIA. Currently, the levies are 95 minimum and 250 maximum, and they're proposing 125 minimum and remaining at 250 maximum. So those were considered at their annual general meeting on February 22nd, and the BIA has passed the motions to make those requests to council, and if council wishes to proceed with those, bylaws could be prepared for the next meeting.
Council's thoughts on that?
I have a question. What was this charge for? We're not allowed to ask questions.
No, not unless you're part of a delegation.
Oh, sorry.
That's fine. I see a hand up someplace in council. Oh, Councillor Vaughan. That is to have the bylaws prepared.
Yes.
I'll second.
Any further discussion on that? All in favor? Carried. Okay. 6.2 is Finance Department. 6.2.1, Friends of the Museum fundraising account. Do you want to explain the background there, Donna, please?
Sure, thank you, Regents. So we've received a letter from the Friends of Museum in regard to their fundraising account. So over the past few years, the Friends of the Museum has undertaken a number of fundraising initiatives, and they've accumulated a bank balance of $3,607.38. So these funds have been maintained in a separate general ledger account within the township's bank account. And so as per the attached letter, the Friends of the Museum have submitted a request to council to allow that their fundraising balance be donated to the Wingman District Horticultural Society for the maintenance of the Alice Munro Literary Garden. Now, as we know, the future of the museum property, which does include the garden, is currently under review. But as I said, the money was all raised by the Friends, and we've maintained it separately. It has no effect on the township budget. It wasn't part of our money. It was money that they raised themselves. So that is the request that they have submitted to council.
Councillor Syke?
I'll move it.
And Councillor Ritzman seconding. Any further discussion? Councillor Knott?
I would just like that we would thank the Friends of the Museum for their work and dedication over the past years that they have been around. It's hard to find people to work on a project like a museum, and they've done a great job in what they've done. So thank you.
Noted. Okay. Is there any further? All those in favor of the motion? Carried. Okay. 6.2.2, 2008 BIA budgets. Donna?
Yes, thank you. So I have a report in the council package outlining the 2018 Wingham and Blyth BIA budgets. And as part of the process, the BIAs are required to submit their budgets to council for approval once their budgets have been approved at their annual general meetings. So both of these budgets were actually adopted on February 22nd, 2018,
And due to new information, the Blyth BIA budget was revised and adopted at their May the 2nd, 2018 meeting. So their revised budget was distributed to the full membership as part of the agenda package, and the delegation that was here earlier tonight outlined some of the reasons behind the revised budget and some of the new projects that are going to be taking place down there. So for the Wingham BIA, their total levy request is for $27,500, and for the Blyth BIA, their total levy request is $7,500. But as you could see, as part of the Blyth BIA budget, they do a number of fundraising initiatives, which again were outlined tonight. So their total budget is actually $47,575. And then the items outlined in highlighted yellow is what the $7,500 that the township levies on the tax bills, that is what those expenses go towards. So those are the two BIA budgets, and we have members sit on both BIAs from council. So are there any further questions about the BIA budgets?
Councillor Knott.
I'll make the motion that we approve.
Moved. Councillor Vauden seconds. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion? Carried. Okay, moving to 6.2.3, 2018 budget report. Donna?
Okay, there we go. So thank you, council. So tonight we're going to have a highlighted version of the overall budget presentation for 2018. So there are 4 phases to the budget process. We have our planning and budgeting stage, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation phases. But throughout the planning stage, as you all know, the budget process is complex and lengthy. We review priorities from council, we take into account grants and projects, and this process becomes more difficult each year and I do have to say this year's probably been the most difficult. It's a process that requires teamwork, and we started this process last fall. On November the 13th, we had our first meeting, which was called Setting the Stage. We had subsequent meetings on January 3rd and 4th, February the 8th, and on April the 23rd. So those were our series of public meetings working our way through the budget. So the department heads start gathering their information in the fall. We look through various cuts. There's a number of factors which we incorporate into the budget, such as increased cost, inflation, priorities, decreased funding, where the end target, where we want to end up, and the previous year's, both budget and previous year actuals. So during the implementation phase, that translates the budget numbers into action. As you know, the budget is an estimate. Throughout the year, we still try to get the best price through tendering processes and negotiation, and we're always looking at trying to maintain the best prices that we can, even though the budget is passed. Our monitoring phase is a continuous process that, again, doesn't stop with the passing of the budget. We prepare reports to council, and as department heads, we're always reviewing those year-to-date numbers so that we can make sure that we're on track. The last stage is the evaluation phase, and we evaluate our current operations and procedures, make any changes, and we have a number of annual reports that have to be filed with various ministries. We have a number of ongoing challenges. We have increased utility costs, wage and benefits costs. This year, coal was added at 1.5%. We have shifting of tax burdens due to declining industrial and commercial values, and increased farm values is what we're seeing out in the East Wallanosh ward. We're always looking ahead for asset management. We're in the process of gathering data to compile our long-term plans to ensure that our assets are in good shape for the future, and we struggle to maintain existing programs and services. For the 2018 budget, we ended up with an overall spending increase of 18.15%, which equated to $888,039 more in dollars spent than last year. Our total expenses are $15,575,491. Of that, we raised from taxation $5,779,679. We raised through the base rate $3,739,436. From area rating $2,033,688. And we raised $6,555 through flat rate street lighting. Water and sewer services have no effect on the tax rate. They're fully funded by user fees, and we are currently in year 4 of our 5-year rate plan. So I spoke a moment ago about the special area rates, and you've just heard about the BIA levies, which would be included in our final tax billing. So for the Wingham ward, we area rate to just that ward, $1,678,145. That is for the Wingham Police and street lighting. So that is broken down by $1,568,000 to the police and about $109,000 for street lighting. In Blyth, we have $210,525 for OPP policing and street lighting, and that's broken down by $167,937 for the OPP portion and $42,588 for street lighting. And then in East Wawanach, their whole $145,018 is all for OPP policing. So I wanted to go through some of the capital projects that have been included in the budget this year. So on Westmoreland Street, that was a large project that was undertaken in Blyth last year from Highway 4 to around the bend onto Mill Street. This is an ongoing project, but and this is the 3rd piece of that project. So the final pavement for this year is $30,273. Arthur Street is a combined project with Morris Turnberry that we're working on in Wingham, and that's a total of $304,559. That includes water and sewer. The water portion of that is about $186,000, and the sewer portion is about $64,000. We're continuing with our Rural Roads Tar and Chip program this year at $101,000. We need a new grass cutting mower for Public Works at $25,000. We're looking at purchasing a used trackless sidewalk machine at $101,000. We have ongoing costs with investigations at the house and dam for $69,610. We're looking at some cemetery software to ensure that we can maintain our cemetery records into the future, and that's at $50,091. For Wingham Cemetery, we're looking at, we do have a columbarium out at the Wingham Cemetery, but it's nearing full. So we are looking at putting up a niche wall out there at about $40,000. Council already had approved the LED streetlight conversion project for both Blyth and Wingham, and the hamlets were done in the last couple of years. So that is at $421,508, and there's a Summit Drive streetlight project that will be done in conjunction with that LED project. We're looking at some equipment upgrades for water and sewer for $34,000 for sewer and $30,000 for water. With the policing, we're now looking at additional firearms cost of $14,400 and uniforms and equipment for $24,000. We've had a very active Wingham Theatre renovation committee, and they have done a number of projects to revamp the theatre upstairs. And this year they're planning to continue on with their plans, and that's going to cost about $38,000. We have some wayward signs that we've been working on, and I think they are actually ordered, so that is good. So we should be seeing those signs go up shortly for Wingham. We're putting in some fire grates at the Wingham Fire Hall for $8,000. Some roof repairs at the Wingham Police Station for $26,000. At the daycare center, They have a very large roof project. So this $25,000 is engineering and some of the structural work that we have to do in order to be able to proceed with that project and get proper pricing and such. So that's engineering cost. We're looking for a new treadmill at the fitness center and some work done at the HVAC unit for over the fitness and squash area at $35,000. We're looking for a new multi-purpose cleaning machine and a floor scrubber for $6,500 and $7,500. We're still doing a lot of investigative work on some leaks areas at the complex and some moisture problems that we're having, and that's estimated at $113,000. We have undertaken a large renovation project down at Memorial Hall in Blyth, and we're hoping to finish that up this year in 2018 for $154,950. We're partnering with the county to do a washroom renovation project down at the daycare at $35,000, and Huron County will be funding that project. So overall, we're looking at total capital spending of $1,770,991. So some of our other important items that we have been working on this year as well, we have our water and sewer master plans underway. Part of these projects included extensive camera work on our sanitary sewer, which will give us a good basis for our condition assessments as we move forward with asset management. In our community partnership donations, we have a total of $53,335 in the budget. Of that, the hospital, $50,000 goes to the hospital, and this is year 3 of that 5-year commitment. Also, as I spoke earlier with the Memorial Hall renovation project, the township had committed $500,000, and we've been paying our commitment in either $50,000 is going to be included in the 2018 budget towards that cost. We have a report on the agenda tonight to talk about the pay equity and market study, which was completed. And we also have a new economic development committee that was developed earlier this year. We do have some debt, and so our total debt owing is $1,889,000. Those are divided up amongst the rink grant, which was a lot of work done down at the complex, with the biggest and most notable piece of that would have been the paving of the parking lot, and that was done a few years ago. We have the EST Center, which was built, and so the costs there are split 55% to the EST Center and 45% to the Blyth Fire Station, which shares the building. We have a grader that we're paying for, and we still owe $155,000 on it. We have the fire payouts. We still owe $538,000 when the fire boards were dissolved. For a number of road projects, we still have $115,000 left owing on those. So in this year's budget, we have a total debt payments of $249,953, which is principal of $178,053 and interest of $71,900. So our plan is, for future planning, is each of these loans are paid off, we would reinvest that money into infrastructure. And the first of those loans that will be paid off is the roads project, which would be in 2021. So a question that we get very often is, why are the taxes so high? So the answer to that is easy, but the solution is the difficult part. So for a population of under 5,000, we offer a wide range of facilities, programs, and services, usually offered by a much larger municipality. We have low overall taxable assessments, and we have low average assessment on older homes, especially the residences on farm properties out in the country. We experience low population with little growth, and our geography works against us in that we're a long, narrow strip, and so we're providing services in several communities. So I'm just going to move ahead to this slide. I just wanted to hit this slide first, and I hope you can see that okay. But I just wanted to further expand on that by what do we spend your money on? And so in North Huron, we have a lot to look after. We have council and administration, animal control, emergency planning, planning and development. We have a fire department for Blyth and for Wingham. We have the EST Center in Blyth. We have the North Huron Museum, which I said earlier was currently under review. We have sanitary sewer systems in Wingham and Blyth. We have the Wingham Police and the OPP Police for Blyth and East Wawanosh. We maintain cemeteries in both Wingham and Blyth. We have the Child Care Center that offers a number of programs before and after early years, early on, early learning through various locations throughout North Huron. We have a number of parks, trails, playgrounds, sports fields throughout the municipality. We pay a levy to Maitland Valley Conservation. We have the Wingham Trailer Park, the Blyth Campground, and the airport. We have a building official and property standards department. We have the North Huron West Cass Community Complex, the Blyth Arena and Hall. We also contribute to the Belgrave Arena, which is operated by a board. We have water systems in Wingham Blyth, and we pay our share into the Belgrave system. We look after drainage. We have community development, or we call it economic development. We have the Memorial Hall, and we've talked about the renovations there. We have a large waste department, and that includes recycling and garbage pickup and then disposing of the garbage. So we have the Wingham landfill, and we still do have the East Wawanosh landfill, which incurs costs, and we pay our share at Blyth Pellet. We have the Wingham Library. We lease the library property in Blyth for the Blyth Library. We maintain 167 kilometers of road, 11 bridges, and some traffic lights. We make a number of donations, and we have community commitments. We have street lights in Blyth and Wingham and the hamlets. We offer a wide variety of rec programs, fitness programs, day camps, and aquatic programs. And we just spoke briefly about the debt payments. So just wanted to go back to this slide. So something we monitor though are the property sales. So in 2017, we had 151 properties sell as opposed to 2016 when we had 133 properties. The total value of those sales was over 39 million in 17 as opposed to over 27 million in 16. So some of the high values though that you see in East Wawanosh, which is actually even higher than Wingham, relates back to the high sale prices that farms are going for. So that's the difference there. So we continually monitor how many properties are selling. So again, back to some of the results. So as we work our way through the budget, we keep in mind that a 1% increase generates $48,916 of additional revenue for us to work with. We'll talk about this in a minute, but based on an assessment of $200,000 for residential, the Wingham Ward property at $200,000 would see a tax increase this year of $487.94, Blyth at $86.10, and East Wawanosh at $63.43. So to take a look at the dollars that are raised from each ward, our total levy, which includes the county and the school board. So on your tax bill, there is the municipal rate, which is made up of base rate and the area rate, and then the county rate and the education rate. So in total, our levy is $9,153,000. So of that, $5,427,000 comes from Wingham, $1,531,000 comes from Blyth, and $2,165,000 comes from East Wawanosh. So again, just to show this in a little bit of a different pie chart. So of that $9 million that I was speaking of, 63.07% stays here in North Huron. we send 23.89% to the county and 13.05% to the various school boards. And then when you break that 63.07% down further, Wingham, 59.61% of those dollars come from Wingham Ward, and Blyth Ward is 16.73%, and East Wallinosh 23.65%. And again, that just shows you that the largest portion, which is the base rate and the area rate, which are dollars that stay in Wingham, in North Huron, with Blyth and East Wallinosh. Okay, so I know that one's a little hard to see, but these are the tax rates. And so a property, again, I wanted to speak about a property comparison across the whole municipality. So a property that was assessed last year at $197,500 that is now assessed at $200,000. So that assessment went up 1.26%. So that property in Wingham will pay $4,344 this year, or an additional $487.94, which equates to 12.65% increase. That same $200,000 property in Blyth will pay $3,429.65. So that's $86.10 more, which is 2.58%. And in East Wallinosh, it would pay $3,149, which is $63.43 more than last year, or 2.06%. So I want to take a minute and actually go through some specific properties just so that you can see what the differences are going to be this year. So this is an actual property that was assessed at $172,500 last year. It's assessed at $178,000 this year. Last year's taxes were $3,368.46. So our budget was sitting at 4.95% after the February 8th meeting. So that would have added $80.77. We had three big issues that came later on in the budget process, which was the EST and Blyth, the Wingham policing, and the pay equity and market study. So this property ends up going up about 14.79%. That's what the $498.21 in additional taxes that this property would pay, as I said, equates to about 14.79% increase. So the next one is a property with a higher valued assessment, but it didn't see much of an assessment increase. So it was less than 0.5%. Last year, this property paid $5,941, and it's going to see a tax increase of $695.16 to $6636.35. So for this particular property, that would be 11.7%. The next property is a commercial property. It saw an assessment increase of 1.13, and so it's now at $825,000. Last year, the commercial taxes on this property was $24,655.99, and it's looking at a tax increase of $2,225.90 for a total of $26,881.90. So this particular property is going up about 9.02%. To look at Blyth, we have a property that the assessment went from 118 to 123. Last year's taxes, $1,997.66. It's going to see a tax increase of $111.57 for a total of $2,109.23. We have another residential property in East Wallinosh. This residence sits on a farm property. It saw a 6% increase in its assessment, and last year's taxes on this on the house portion of this farm property was $1,027.50, and it's going to go up $71.79. So the house would now pay $1,099.29. But on the farm side of this property, it saw an assessment increase of 14.99%. So last year, the taxes were $2,253.28, and it's going up $357.94 to $2,611.22. This particular one then would see a 15.88% increase. Okay. So as we move forward, our focus on the future is asset management, and we are continually updating our asset management plan. We completed phase 2 in December of 2016, and we added the balance of our assets from the first phase. We had all our core assets added in, and now we have all of our assets included. The total value of our assets is $214,508,000. The next steps that we're working on are to include condition and risk assessment and the levels of service. So we're working on creating a financing strategy and long-term plan for our assets and asset replacement. And to do that, we need to look at capital levies, prioritization, and education, and we have to use a combination of debt, user fees, and pay-as-you-go. So that is a quick summary of our whole budget process. As I said, we started, staff started last October. We had our first meeting in November, and we've carried through the process till now. So as we know, we have some tough decisions ahead to move us forward into the future. And I would just like to thank council and staff for all their work and time that we've spent on the budget this year. And I do have a bylaw under the bylaw section later on in the meeting to adopt the budget. So if council has any comments or questions for me at this time, or if you wanted to wait till the bylaw section, I do have, in addition to my presentation, I had a report included in your agenda package as well. This presentation went into more detail than your report. As I said, we've been through a lot of the sections many times over this process.
Councillor Ritzman-Tenenga.
I have a couple questions, Donna. Of that $38,000 that the theater is planning to spend, that was money that they raised, right?
That's right. It's
not coming out.
That's right. It's not township money.
And then the $10,000 that was donated by the homecoming for the signs?
Yes, the $10,000 again was not money that was raised by tax dollars.
And maybe this is a better question for Pat, but the $6,500 and the $7,500 for those cleaning machines, is that so that we can keep those services in-house and then have long-term savings?
The one machine, which I brought a report to council, is to discontinue an out service that will actually within 3 years pay back the township. I brought that report during the budget. The other one is simply a replacement of a machine that is at the end of its life cycle. Yeah.
Councillor Vauden.
I have a small comment about one issue, one line out of this hundreds and hundreds of lines. The community partnership item, line 6750. Included in that, and you indicated this in your report, was a $50,000 contribution to the hospital.
That's right.
I would like to see that on a separate line by itself, because it's not really a municipal responsibility, and I think people should be aware of it. It looks as if it's being hidden in that community partnership line, which doesn't really describe what it is. So it's just a suggestion in terms of presentation.
Separating it onto I certainly make sure I highlight that throughout the budget, but I can definitely put it on a separate line if that would make it easier to identify. No problem.
Oh, I have another comment, sir.
Go ahead.
I got an email today from someone who is suggesting that we should raise our assessments to bring the taxes down. I think there are still quite a few people who think that we set the assessment and everything. That's not the case, of course.
Okay, that there's a suggested motion for, that we could pass the whole budget. In numerous discussions that I've had with a number of people since Friday, there is a number of people have suggested that we could ask that the police services budget be sent back to the police services board to see if there was any way they could reduce it as to the size of increase that it is taking. That would be one option that council could take at this time if they wanted. Deputy Reeve?
I'd make a motion that we send this back to the police service board, the budget, to see if there's any possible way that they can cut this. For the fact that when we started with the new costing, we did have a figure, but the figure has come in a lot higher than what it was going to come in at. And I think the people need to know why it went up, because we just found out at the last council meeting. So I'll make that a motion.
Are you seconding, Trevor? Or
I'm not.
I am asking for a seconder before discussion.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Trevor, you wanted to speak on that?
Yeah, I'm as a police services board chair, I have no concern about taking a budget back to the board. However, I do have a concern from council's perspective, as well as about them not being informed about what that budget is. That budget came to this council. Yes, the number came to this council last meeting, but the information in that budget came to this council pre-existing that number. Information about what was going to happen because of negotiations that was going on. I made it very clear when I presented the budget that this was a negotiating thing that happened because of health and safety and salaries amongst the police service that, in all honesty, for the last 10 years, we have nickeled and dimed our police association to fair and equitable to services around the area. And right or wrong, yes, they live in Wingham, and yes, we're in Wingham, and we're a small municipality. But the argument is why should they be forced to do something different than an association or a service outside of this municipality? That information came here. That information came to the public meeting. I have a hard time understanding that council wasn't informed. I will do what is asked of council, but what I will also ask council, if this motion so chooses, I will ask council to provide me with a number that they want to see that number be. I think that's fair for the police services board to know where they have to sit, because at the end of the day, we have a negotiation with an association, and at the end of the day, they need to be no different than other fire or other emergency services. They need to feel like they're safe when they come to work. And in all honesty, this is why, to be quite honest, I voted against having our own service, and I'm the chair of the police services board. So I was the one that voted against it, to keep our own service, because this is what I had brought prior to the decision of council at the public meeting and all that. So I just wanted to comment that I will take whatever the decision of council is to take it back. But I'm telling you, I'm doing it in disregard. I don't really enjoy it, because that's the fact is that council was informed, and I truly believe they were informed. So if that is the decision of council, I will do it. obviously because I am the chair of the Police Services Board, but I will be making discussions with the association as well, because a lot of this discussion was through them, through negotiations as well. So we have to understand that's fact.
Deputy Reeve?
I believe, Councillor Skype, at the last council meeting, we were informed as council that you were also looking to hire a sergeant. That was the very first time I heard of anything of hiring a sergeant. And that was not in that figure to start with.
Go ahead.
So I can't disagree with that. I can't disagree with the fact that we now have to hire somebody to manage 4 additional officers to have 2 people on shift. I can't disown the fact that, but council can't tell me that their idea would change by us telling you that we're hiring 1 extra staff member. So what was council's threshold to keep the service or not? So you said it was okay to hire 4, but the 5th isn't right? That doesn't make any sense to me. And if that is what council so choose, then that's, I guess, what it is. But that is the fact. That is fact.
The fact that we were going to hire 4, not 5. And I can tell you the sergeant will be the highest paying one that we will hire in the next of the 5 people. And that extra over $100,000 probably is what I'm complaining about, that there's an extra $100,000 through that budget that we knew nothing about till last council meeting. And I think if this was going to happen, we should have been informed. I know we can't change the police budget. I know that. But I think we need to, as a council, need to be informed well in advance so we know when I get a phone call from residents from Wingham saying, why don't we know about this? I can't say, well, I just heard this last council meeting. So I think we need to be kept up front with what's going on.
Councillor Slade.
So what I will tell you is this council gets a lot more gravity with regards to information in the police services budget than they would normally get. The police services budget, technically to come to council, is 1 number. That's it. You don't have a choice to determine whether it's salaries or what. So we as a police services board and the chief provides a lot more information that this council would be, or any other council in their mind may have. I struggle still that if you're upset about 1 officer or 1 sergeant being hired, the fact of the matter is the budget is going up $700,000. So you're talking about an issue. So if I would have came to you with a budget of with $600,000, oh, you're telling me you'd be okay with it?
I hate to be disputing this, but at the public meeting in the town hall upstairs, I heard that the increase was going to be around a little over 400,000. There is a big difference from 400,000 to 700,000. And I think that's where the difference is coming in, just for me. And it's not going to affect me. But when I get calls from your ratepayers in Wingham saying, why is this happening? Then I need to talk to the board about it. And I think that's only proper that we send this back and have a look at it to see if this is legit. It's legit. I don't have a problem with it. It's how it was presented to us.
Councillor Ritzman-Tenenga.
Having also served on the police services board with Trevor, I know some of the struggles that the chair and vice chair went through with negotiating the terms of the new contract with the Police Services Association. But I also have to agree, some of the numbers that we got at the public meeting and some of the numbers that came in after just not align, and I would like to see this budget looked at again.
Okay. And Councillor Hallahan?
I'm in agreement with that.
Okay. Are we ready for the vote?
I might just
You have a comment?
Yeah, I just like to expand on it a little bit. I think when this thing come through, it didn't seem to be the dollar. We were expecting the ratepayers of Wayne Ward, and they wanted their police, their own police. I went to all the meetings. There was one person got up and said they didn't want Wayne police. Okay, so we have Wayne police, and we're going through these costs now, and it's costing too much money. With respect, yes, go back. I agree, go back to them to do it for that one. We know what Blyth and East Monash want. Made it quite clear, and I hope this council would give the same respect to the ratepayers in East Monash and Blyth Ward as what council gave to the ratepayers in Wayne. We know what they want. Okay, that's all I have to comment.
So the proposed motion would be then that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby requests that the North Huron Police Services Board review the proposed 2018 budget for the Wayne Police Service and attempt to find efficiencies and cost savings.
Councillor Syed?
I'd like a recorded vote, please.
Okay.
Deputy Reeve Campbell,
Yes.
Councillor Hallahan,
Yes.
Councillor Knott,
Yes.
Councillor Vodden,
Yes.
Councillor Syed,
No.
Councillor Ritz-Martinez,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes.
carried.
Okay. Do we have a motion to pass the rest of the bylaw, of the budget, Donna, or it,
No, at this point, we can't pass the tax rates, or we can't pass that in a piece. So we need to wait, and we'd have to bring it forward. I would like to request though, since the date has gone on so long, need this information. We have to have a budget passed by May 22nd meeting. We can't leave this any longer into a year. So whatever adjustments or things are going to be made, we need to have that information
for the next meeting?
Yes, definitely for the next meeting in order to be able to get our tenders. I think we're going to, I'm not sure if we will have to confer for a minute with some of our department heads then to look at pre-budget approval for a couple of items that have to get moving forward as well. So anyway, for now then, we will take council's direction. And as I said, this item will be back up again for the May 22nd meeting.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Syed.
So as I asked, I would support, I'm going to take the budget back. However, I did ask if this council could provide a number that would be suffice. Give me a number that the Police Services Board is going to, that they have to work to. Only fair.
Councillor Knott.
I'm going to suggest perhaps that we ask them to see if they can move more towards that $400,000 to $500,000 increase this year, and perhaps whatever items can be deferred until the following year, and spread this over 2 to 3 years if possible. I think 3 years is probably a question, or 2 years if possible. So, if we can pare that back to about a $500,000 increase, would be at least a step in the right direction. The rest of the council agrees.
Is there consensus for that? Donna?
So just for clarification on that, Councilor Knott, so the additional amount in the 2018 budget is $450 for 2018.
Right.
So Councilor Syed is asking for clarification. If that isn't the number, what is the number then to get the 2018 budget passed?
Well,
What was the original? So, you have to excuse me. The difference between and forget the budget, the difference between the 2017 actuals and the 2018 budget is how much?
That isn't going to help you with the, with what numbers of officers you're looking for. Okay. So.
I want to know the dollar amount.
So in total, this year's budget is up, there was the 450 extra, but in total, the budget is up $481,000 over last year.
Over last year's budget or actual?
Over last year's, my little note, over last year's budget.
Okay, so what is it over last year's actual?
Last year's actual, the budget was 1,505 and the actual was 1,529. So you've got about 24,000 difference there. We would add that on the 24,000. So you're looking at.
Overlap is 505 over last year.
Yes, last year was 1,505 and the actual was 1,529. So you'd be looking at, from this year to last year, then we're looking at up at about 505.
Okay, so where's this $700,000 number coming from?
So the number that the number that I was comparing to was the number that we had as the OPP contract costing at the time of the public meeting. That's the number that came to this council in a closed session that told you the number that was going to be different. It was there that was presented. The 450,000 that we're talking about officers. Let's be clear on what 2018 budget represents. It represents those 5 officers for 6, I believe it's 6 months. Well, assuming we were going to hire them, fully trained, fully running, July 1st. So if they're not here, the budget savings. However, the fact that we're technically now recruiting actively, the question is that wrong? So at the end of the day, that is the number that we're hiring. We're actively recruiting. It's currently 4 with 1 sergeant. So 5, which the number is $500,000 for this year alone. Obviously, that's 6 months of wages. That's with benefits and all that other stuff. All which was communicated last meeting.
Deputy Reed.
So we saved this money now in 2018, but this is really going to hit the budget in 2019. Because you're going to have to start to pay a full year's salary for those extra men.
Did you have something, Councillor Hallahan? You had your hand up first.
Well, I was just
okay.
thinking here.
Deputy, Councillor Syke.
Everything that was communicated last meeting. I said that last meeting. This was 6 months budget. So next year it's going to be a double hit because you've got all of them at a full year, assuming you hire them all. We don't know what we're going to get. We don't know. We're not just hiring 4 because we need to have 4. We're going to hire what is physically and acceptable to ensure that we have the health and safety of our men at the most precedent. But that's the number. So tell me the number you want.
Councillor Hallahan.
So I do have a question. So actually, quickly, so this would put us up to 12 officers
Correct.
for the town of Wayne, 12, and they're full-time, then they will be full-time sometime.
That is correct.
Councillor Knott.
Through yourself to Councillor Seep, do you know what the budget increase would have been or was projected to be without the extra officers?
So without the extra offers, the increase in salaries was 4.5%.
You don't know what that.
I don't know off the top of my head what that would be total, but the 4.5% is their contract is 4.5% this year, 4% next year. And by the time they're end in 2019, they would be equivalent, a first-class constable, I'm talking, which the first-class constable is used to determine the rest of the salaries, would be comparable to services that are in our catchment area. The only one that wasn't, that we used was a city one, was Brantford, but that was a one-off that we picked because we had the costing available during that negotiation. So that's the conversation that we had. So they will be comparable. So no more can we talk about where they're underpaid, but they're not being overpaid compared to the market. The market dictates based on contracts that are awarded in other awards, and that includes all of them around us, 5 of them.
Deputy Reeve.
So if these ones you're comparing to are compared population to population?
No, they're compared to, I'm sorry, Lee, go ahead. They're not compared to population. They're compared to the services that are closest to us that are comparable from a size of basically competition, if you would per se. Hanover, Saugeen Shores, the OPP, West Gray, I believe, was in there, and Brantford was the other one. So these were things that were negotiated through the association. But at the end of the day, we talk about fair and equitable. That's what this is, fair and equitable. Irregardless of the new hires, that's a health and safety matter that needed to be addressed. And that's the fact is, that's what it is. We're the only police service in the province that doesn't have 2 officers on duty, fully trained every shift. And that is a fact. That's what this budget provides. If council so chooses and wants me to go back to the police services board, I will. But now I also got to talk about with the association about how's health and safety and how's fair and equitable. So that's the conversation that I'm trying to understand from council about what they want, so I can communicate it fairly to the police services board and the negotiating team that talked to the association, but in all honesty, to talk to the association, because honestly, this is what come out of that.
Councillor Vauden.
It seems to me that it would be very, very difficult for us to give a firm number of what we want to come out of this change. I would like to rely on the Police Services Board and the staff to look at this from the standpoint of the community situation and come up with something reasonable in terms of what can be done in terms of limiting the cost and the cost increases. If they come back and say it's only $10, then so be it. But I think that we're all in the business of serving the community, and they are as much servicing the community as we are. And as Councillor Seep has told us, a lot of the information was available to us earlier, and perhaps we are having regrets about what we, and so I would say give the Police Services Board a chance to come up with a satisfactory answer.
Councillor Slate.
So what I can tell you is that the Police Services Board struggled with the conversation of bringing that budget to the council to begin with. In all fairness, we've talked about sustainability at the Police Services Board meetings for the last year and a half, knowing full well that we had an association costing or a negotiation coming, talking about sustainability. I've been talking about sustainability as a councillor for the last 2 years. One of the reasons why I asked for the costing from the OPP, and one of the reasons why I voted against it, to having our service. Not because of the service. I think it's an excellent service. They do what they're asked to do with the resources that they're given. What I struggle with is you've got 3,000 people in the municipality in the ward of Wingham having to pay for that, and to be quite fair, by the time that motion got to us from a Wingham ward, it was decided. And the other councillors have an indirect impact. The indirect impact to their taxes because of this cost is there. Everybody may say, well, it doesn't impact East Wallanosh or Blyth. Not directly, but indirectly it does. Because if the priority of something that wasn't budgeted in the municipality or in the Wingham ward fails, that's a higher priority than something that's budgeted in Blyth or East Wallanosh. I have a feeling it probably should get done in Wingham. And therefore, stuff like the tar and chip program and other stuff like that we've been putting off that I don't want to put off are going to take back seats. Because these are the other priorities that we have within the municipality, and they just happen to be in the Wingham ward. And a lot of the costs are tied up in policing for the Wingham ratepayer. So it's very painful for me to see an increase. The Blyth and East Wallanosh increases, I don't know if anybody here, but I'm not hearing any concern from a Blyth or East Wallanosh ratepayer for the $60 and $80 increase. I'm hearing a whole lot of complaints from the Wingham ratepayers for the $450 increases. All of which I think could have been mitigated if council would have went with the OPP costing that was presented. And yes, those costs, there would have been one-time costs, but those are one-time costs that were presented. And we could have mitigated those one-time costs. We can't mitigate every year cost increases that's going to happen under the current service model that we have. And those are the things that the public needs to understand, and council here needs to understand and get real about what their service level is occupied. I gave glowing repairs to Denise and that about what we have, but the level of service that we have is unsustainable. We need to make cuts in certain places, and every time we talk about cuts in this council chambers, they get voted down. So let's be fair. Let's be real. Let's start talking the game. And stop blaming information or lack of. Because you've all been here, you've all had the police services board and the police services for a long, long time. And it's been a discussion about why tax rates are so high. That's one of them. So it's unfair for Councillor Vaughan to say that the staff and the police services board can make a realistic handle at this, because you had the police chief and you had the association understand the economics of this and said it's probably not feasible to have us. We're okay with it. And council so choose to ignore that. And council has to live with that. Because you're not going back to the OPP now. You're back in the queue. So we got to figure this out now. And the Police Services Board is not, we'll run the numbers as hard as we can. But I just want council to be fair that if something comes back, that the Police Services Board and the association doesn't get grilled about the decisions that this council has made. Because that's the way I feel that this has turned out to be. It's somehow a Police Services Board issue and not the council decisions that we've made over the last 2.5 months with regards to this service. So that's all I will say, but I will take it back. But if I can't get an answer about what number council wants, I will tell the Police Services Board we have to do our best. But at the end of the day, health and safety of our men and the service to make sure that it is what they have as resources available to them to ensure that they have their job, that we would expect nothing less, that they have it. And if that's the case, that's the case.
Councillor Knott.
I agree that this council did get information on the increases. They were there, they were said, they were put out in public meetings. Not going to dispute that at all. I agree they were done. Those who came to the meetings who chose to ignore that at their peril. But I think right now we cannot come up with a firm number or even a percentage. I'm going to suggest perhaps that maybe what we asked the Police Services Board, this budget is based on an immediate increase in the staffing level. I do agree that there are definitely times, if not 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, where you need 2 officers on schedule. But if the Police Service Board could review and see if there is a way through scheduling or whatever to find an acceptable way to scale this up over an extended period of time instead of tomorrow. Because that's what this is saying. It's tomorrow. We're going to hire 5 officers. Here's the budget. Bang, let's go. I think there probably is some sort, and whether it's over the next 12 months or 18 months or within time period, to scale it up, to make it a little bit more palatable. Ultimately, in the end, yeah, I agree. They need the 5 officers. I'm not even going to dispute that at all. And I could see that one coming before it was ever even presented, and I knew that that would be a large budget thing. But that wasn't what we made the decision based on. It was based on what the feelings and the wishes were of the Wingham Ward residents. And if they failed to understand that there were increases, they were put out at the public meetings, that we knew about them. So we cannot say that we were not informed of them. The sergeant portion, that may be an additional that came up in the last round of negotiations. But I'd like to see if they can at least find a way to scale this over a little more extended period of time. Ask them to do that at least, or any other ways they can see to just ease the budget a little bit. Would that be acceptable to you, Trevor? Sure. Councillor Steep, sorry.
Everything's acceptable to me. I will take, like I've always said, I have my own public opinion or my own personal opinion when I sit on this council chambers. When it comes back to me as the Police Services Board Chair, I respect the decision that is forced on me from a council decision. I will relay the information onto the Police Services Board impartially on the fact that this is what's coming. Here's what we have to do. And I will have if we need something by May the 22nd, then I'm going to have to call a special meeting. So I'm going to have to get some time for them to know whether I have availability, all that stuff. So we'll do our best to have something presented back here in due time. But at the end of the day, I guess my question is that May 22nd is when the bylaw needs to be passed. Is that what I'm hearing? Correct. So is council wanting, like, I don't want to bring it to the 22nd. Like, are we going to have a special meeting of council to discuss what Police Services Board has come back with? So I don't believe so. You don't believe so? Okay. So we're working towards having a budget to Donna. I will not do it. I will not present it to Donna on the 22nd. I will ensure that the budget May 22nd, I will ensure that we have a budget meeting. I will do my best to have a budget meeting on the 15th. A special police services board meeting. I'm not, we have one on the 22nd, but we'll move it to the 15th to deal with this discussion. And then we will have something ratified to the board, to the board, and then on to the council by hopefully no later than the 16th. So I'll have to have some discussion with the board to say, you got to give direction to the chief to relook at something. So hopefully I can do that over, I'm not even sure how I'm going to do that without having a meeting. Technically, I need the board approval to do that. So we may have to have a board meeting to have that so late this week to have the chief review it and have some input from the association as well, because they're part of it. And that was part of the discussion about the officers hire. So I would like to make sure the president is involved with that discussion about what that looks like. And then hopefully we can have something to review on the 15th. But like I said, I'm going to do my best to make sure we can have that. But I have to, obviously there's process that I have to do to get a budget meeting or a meeting, direction to the chief, back to us to approve, back to this council to approve. It's probably two police services board meetings and a council meeting.
Through yourself to Councillor Site, I believe that the next police services board meeting we had scheduled was for the May 15th.
Oh, right, because we moved it because of the holiday, because the council was on the 22nd. Okay, so if it's already on the 15th, it still means we have to have a meeting probably Wednesday to give direction to the chief to get 4 days to review the budget with the association to see if we can get something together.
Councillor Ritzman-Domingo.
I just want to say again that the association worked, or the police services board worked really hard with the association to come to a good budget, and it was a very laborious job for them. And it's not been an easy road to come up to these numbers, and we are trying really hard to do the best that we can for the ratepayers of Lingham. And like Councillor Knott said, during that process, what we heard overwhelmingly again and again is that they didn't want to lose the service, and we went that way for them, and then the number came in. So we're going to do our best to work out a better solution, and maybe we can phase this in, and maybe there's some other options that we can look at, but just be patient with us as we try and make this work so that it's not such a hit.
Councillor Site.
I did want to communicate to council here that we had a letter of understanding with the association, the police services board did, as it relates to the hiring of the officers. Part of it was we asked that we would have at no later than December 2019 that the hiring be done, so that it would have full complement. The association wished to have that sooner. They came back with December 31st of this year. We pushed it to July. We successfully went to April of 2019. Under the standing that they understand that we only can determine what we can determine, and if council so chooses to budgets and all that stuff that we have to talk about. And that's one of the reasons why I'm saying that when the chief goes and reviews this budget and scheduling and all that stuff, that I want the association to be present and to be understanding about what we're doing, because I think it's fair that they're part of the process as well, especially during this time, because of that reasoning why we have that discussion about, because it is a health and safety concern from them. So we tried to understand that, it's not as easy just to hire somebody. But that's what so I wanted to make sure council's aware that is some of the discussions that's been had. And that's why I think it's not just a police services board discussion, but it's also an association discussion to ensure that they are on side and understand why we're doing this and what the impact is going to be to them when it all said and done. Because at the end of the day, it does. If we're delaying hiring, it impacts them.
Okay, thank you. And basically, the only figure is the bottom line number that council has any power over. So that's why a number of the councillors did not suggest any lines within the police services budget because it would be illegal for them to suggest that. So thank you.
Just one comment in terms of under the Police Services Act, there's a provision that basically says that if there's matters that remain under dispute after bargaining has been completed, it can be referred to arbitration. And so I just want council to be aware of that, and if it's referred to an arbitrator, the decision of the arbitrator is binding on council. So it could be, so if the arbitrator decides it's going to be, I'm just 500,000, that's binding on council. If they say 300,000, that's binding on council. So I just want council to be aware of the fact that, you know, in terms of with bargaining, and there is under that act an arbitration provision in there. So council needs to be aware of that in terms of, you know, you want to try to resolve this locally.
Just one thing, the bargaining is done now.
Yeah, we have a contract that is binding.
Okay.
The CAO's is the Ontario Civilian Police Commission. So if we can't determine the numbers together, then it can be submitted to them for them to decide on what the number is going to be, and it is binding.
Okay. In recreation and facilities, 6.3.1, a temporary easement agreement for Blyth Memorial Community Hall. Pat, you want to fill us in on that?
Yeah, I think this one's pretty straightforward. Our neighbors to the north at the Blyth Memorial Community Hall are undergoing some renovations, demolition and renovations. And so they're asking to access the Memorial Hall property in order to gain access to do their repairs. So we have drafted a easement agreement, which will be in play until the construction is over. I'm asking council to adopt this all tonight, not only to accept it in motion, but in the bylaws to adopt all three because they're on a time crunch to get moving and complete their construction project. There is one outstanding piece of information that we're waiting on, and that is just the insurance certificate from the contractor, and I'm confident that that's coming. And we would not permit them on our property until we had that in all the specifications that our insurance company is requiring of that. So that will get in place, but we just need to get this easement approved.
Okay. Do we have a person to move this suggested? Councillor Ritzma-Domingo. Councillor Blyden, seconds. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Moving to Public Works, 6.4.1, the maintenance gravel tender. Sean, do you want to comment on this?
Yes, thank you, Reed. Basically, as everyone's aware, this is an annual maintenance issue. Pre-budget approval was received because of the time constraints. We went out to tender, tried something a little different this year. We asked for a second year price. The thinking was that if there was, it could be perceived that there was an economy of scale, and we were hoping to drive a better price. The caveat being we did not hold the contractor or any bidder to it because fuel prices are so variable, and we did not hold council to it because obviously annually, this would have to be approved within the budget. So it was a very loose 2-year, but the thinking was that we could hopefully see some economies. We got one respondent. The prices came in actually a little better than we had anticipated, and well within budget. So we're looking at a total of $111,375 plus applicable taxes. And Joe Kerr Limited was the sole bidder.
You're moving. Deputy Reeves seconding. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Okay, thanks, Sean. Moving to CAO to talk of the pay equity and the market review report that we had done.
Sure. So in last fall, Council retained Gallagher, McDowell and Associates to undertake a pay equity market review. That review has been completed. And the report speaks to, in your council packages, speaks to the findings of that review. The review has identified essentially that 6 positions, there needs to be some adjustments for pay equity purposes. And there's about 15 positions that require adjustment for market review purposes. So what you have before you is a proposed pay grid for our council's consideration and it addresses the pay equity component, the market component, and it also builds in the cost of living allowance that is currently contained within our policies. You'll see that the budget impact, above and beyond what we currently have in the budget impact is around $70,000. So that has been considered in the numbers that Donna presented to you this evening. So in terms of, there's a motion there for your consideration.
No, I do have a comment there.
I'll take them over in a second or first and then come back to you. Yolanda, you were moving? Deputy Reeve is seconding, coming back to Councillor Slate.
Yeah, I do want to, I missed saying it due to this pay equity issue and the fact that my spouse is an employee of the municipality. I will be declaring a conflict here and not voting on this. I just wanted to, I will present the proper paperwork to the clerk.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion on this. Deputy Reeve.
So this would go into effect May the 14th? That's down in the...
Through your Reeve, it would be subject though to budget approval.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the recommendation was May 14th on the basis of budget approval. So we will wait till after May 22nd.
Okay.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, moving into correspondence. 7.1, North Huron Economic Development Committee recommendation for the Alice Munro Festival funding request. Richard?
Yes, so correspondence has been received from the Alice Munro Festival by the Economic Development Committee. The Economic Development Committee considered this item and has made a recommendation to North Huron Council to allocate $3,500 towards the Alice Munro Festival. And so that's what this item is relating to.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion? Carried. Okay, 7.2. Request to formally proclaim May 7th to 13th, 2018 as Nursing Week in the Township of North Huron. Oh, you're moving?
Move second.
Seconded by Councillor Syke. All in favor? Carried. Okay, 7.3. Barn Dance Historical Society request for an exemption from the security provisions for the 21st Annual Barn Dance Jamboree to be held May 24th to 27th, 2018 at the Blyth Campground. Councillor Sight, Councillor Vodden. They're usually a pretty mild crowd, so we're not expecting it. All in favor of the motion? Carried. Okay, 7.4. Huron County Farm and Home Safety Association request for financial support in promoting safety on agricultural operations throughout Huron County. Councillor Knott?
I guess probably it'll come back through yourself to Donna. Have we ever donated in the past to them? Did we always?
There was, for a long time, there was, and what has happened in some other counties is that the county farm and home safety associations actually folded. There's 3 people that primarily do the big part of the work in that group. And some other counties, the group has folded and work through farm and home safety has been given to the Federation of Agriculture for distributing their information and stuff. I leave it to council as to their thoughts on it.
Did we donate last year? I don't think we did, did we?
I can't, Donna?
Yeah, we have in the past, I don't know if we did last year or not, but we do, it's kind of sporadic, and they didn't have their paperwork in by November. But we have in the past given them $125, and we do have, out of the $53,335 for that donation account that we do have $1,100 that we haven't attributed to anyone. So if council did wish to make this donation, they could use those funds.
Councilor Tontonanga?
Seeing as how they didn't get in the request by November, I don't know that we should consider them for this year. I don't think that's fair to the others who've made requests, but not only that, considering the issues that we're having currently with our budget, I really do not think that council should be in the business of giving donations to groups. That's taxpayer money, and that should be used towards things that money stays here. Not that these causes aren't good, but that's just my 2 cents on that. And because they didn't get it in by November, that alone should just make it mean that they don't get the money this year.
Councilor Vaughn.
Just a comment. Kind of ironic that we get asked by this organization for donations. We're a member of the CHIP organization. We don't give them a nickel, and the county has stopped giving any donations at all to that organization. So we haven't given put in a request, but it's kind of ironic that it's an organization that does a lot of great things, and we're having to scrape through. We haven't done bake sales yet, but we're getting close to that. Just a comment.
Councilor Knott?
I'm going to go along with Councilor Tontonanga on this. I think because they've missed it, we haven't donated in the past on a regular basis anyway, that we forego any request and just send them a letter indicating that if they wish a donation next year to get their paperwork in by November 1st.
Okay, is that good enough, Donna? You don't need a motion. Thank you. Council reports that it was a nice drive to Niagara Falls for the Small Urban Municipal Association convention last Wednesday. Not quite as calm coming home during the windstorm. We did make it across both skyways before they closed them down Friday. actually, that was some of the calmer weather we had, was when we were on the skyways. But it was a little scary, the tractor trailer I was following. It's a good thing he was well loaded, and I suspect it was iron and sheet steel that he was carrying. But the rear tires on the trailer, different times, went at least a foot sideways in gusts of wind, so that good driver, that he held things steady, but and I would say that I was a little distracted that all the presentations will be available to us and online. So we will be making them available to council on different subjects. That there was a number of things such as the police services trying to figure out how they are going to enforce the federal government's recreational marijuana stuff. There was a number of things that actually was the same for many of our communities, and that it was nice to basically get talking to a number of our peers as to how they are addressing things. That if Councillor Vauden wants to make some comments after I'm done. And I say congratulations to our public works staff that got the trees that were littering the roads off by the time I got home. But I think I'll leave my comments at that. Councillor Vauden, did you want to?
Yes, I have some comments. I always enjoy this conference, the other times that I've been to it, because it deals with small urban communities, and there's a lot more relevance in the sessions than in some of the other conferences. I just want to comment on 3 particular presentations. One dealt with the municipal role in healthcare and refers to the fact that the municipality has a role in healthcare in terms of providing safe drinking water, wastewater management, garbage collection, landfill, safe streets and roads, emergency services, and so on, a number of other things. The thing that they excluded from health services was capital costs of hospitals. And I talked to the moderator of this meeting afterwards, and he said, yes, they specifically left that out. They thought that we were a little bit strange in contributing a huge amount of money to a hospital. That's really not the responsibility of a municipality. So I've kind of justified in my opposition to that. Anyway, we'll skip over that. Another topic that came up was education that works for small, rural, and northern communities. And there was a discussion about the latest guidelines. There have been many guidelines that have come out through the years on how they're going to go through the accommodation review. It seems to me that the current guidelines that they've just announced are probably a direct answer to the Avon-Maitland District School Board and the tragedy that they committed in terms of closing down a lot of schools in our community, and to a great disadvantage in the communities. And the good thing, I talked to Doug Raycraft, who's working on this project for years. He's satisfied that the new regulations are going to avoid the situation where the board does whatever it wants and they ignore half of the guidelines and sort of observe the other half. There are going to be a lot of reviews. It'll be mandatory that municipalities must be involved, must be consulted, rather than being shut out as they were in the past. And so I think there are some improvements there, but it's a bit too late for us. And finally, just a comment about the topic of crisis in community newspapers. It's quite alarming, really, when you think about the number of small papers that have been bought up by the conglomerates, and then they cease to serve those communities that the papers come from. And there's a problem that many small communities are having in how the people in the community find out what's going on, what's happening, and where is the story being written about many of these small communities. I think we're extremely fortunate, and we have the Citizen available to tell our story and to keep us informed as to what's going on in the community. We don't always agree necessarily with what they're saying, but it's important that they say the things that they do. And so we are really, really fortunate. I hope that situation lasts. I'm sure that that will be well served in the future. Anyway, those were some comments.
Okay, is there any other council that have meetings to report on or any updates they want to give? Okay, thank you. Moving to point 9 is notice of motion. There's 2 requests for having discussion at the May 22nd meeting to bring them forward before council. It isn't the time to debate these. It will be at the May 22nd meeting, so that Councillor Syke?
Yeah, I just want to make and it's only a comment on 9.2.
Okay.
Only because it impacts some of the discussion we've already currently had. This notice of motion directly represents the discussion about keeping it within. We talk about the municipality. We talk about shop local. What my discussion here is I'm not expecting at this point for the Blyth or East Wallinosh wards to pay anything more than what they were currently allocated vis-a-vis the OPP. What my question is that money that's allocated, that money can be spent in this municipality, kept within this municipality, and therefore help with the allocation of the money that's being budgeted for the Wingham Police Service. Therefore, what happens is it becomes a little more palatable because the money, instead of going to the province, the $380,000, is going to us and staying in North Huron. There's lots of discussion for staff about how that service level looks, what that service level looks like. And for the ratepayers of Blyth and East Wallinosh. But what I'm assuring you is that's my comment. My comment is my comment is not that we take area rating away. It's just allocate the money you're already currently allocated to pay in the budget to OPP and pay it to the township via Wingham Police Service. So that's all I wanted to make sure that the staff understand my delivery of the notice, so that when they're doing their report, that can be properly attributed so that council and ratepayers and such. I don't think this is a May 22nd report. I honestly don't, because there's lots of conversation that have to happen with how do we even do this, because we're in a section 5.1 with the OPP and all that, what that deals with. But I know the ratepayers of East Wallinosh and Blyth they don't want anything to do with the police service in Wingham. But I don't know whether it's because they don't want the service because it's the Wingham Police Service, or do they not want the cost associated with the Wingham Police Service, and therefore I'm eliminating the variable of cost. And that's the part where I want the staff to report on that so that council and ratepayers alike can look at that objectively and decide whether that's something palatable for the rest of council and the rest of the ratepayers around.
Councillor Hallahan?
So just to comment, Councillor Safe, you're saying, if I'm getting this right, well, I think East Monash and I'm not speaking for everybody, but I am for my ratepayer. Maybe both things. They sure don't want the cost, you know, that of what they have to pay up here. And that's only common sense. That's what they're paying up here. But what you're saying then, am I getting what you're saying is take Wingham Police take over East Monash and Blyth, but they would be paying that to ourselves because it would be Wingham.
Correct.
Doing it. Exactly. And I thought that's what it was. Okay, so I got that quite clear.
Yes.
Now, as I said, it was also clear on what I said before, that any indication I got from anybody I had are not interested in that. And I actually thought that this was going to be put to bed or be rest.
We
but
can't debate.
apparently-
There's, I'm sure there's going to be a lively debate on the 22nd. That I accepted Councillor Sipes' explanation of what was meant. That those two topics will both be on the May 22nd agenda, and that's to get them onto it. I expect there will be lively debate on both. At that time, we will move on to 10.1, bylaw number 45, 2018.
That bylaw number 45, 2018, being a bylaw to authorize the bereavement clerk to sign on behalf of council an agreement between the Township of North Huron and Lavis Contracting Limited for the Arthur Street Servicing Project be introduced, read a first, second, third, and final time, signed by the bereavement clerk and be engrossed in bylaw.
Deputy Reeve and Councillor Syke, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Bylaw number 46, being a bylaw to adopt a signage policy for the Richard W. Levan Airport. Councillor Ritzman-Tenenga moving. Councillor Hallahan seconding. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Carried. And the signs look good.
Chicken before the egg, but they're up.
Okay. Bylaw number 47, 2018.
Skip that. Can't do that.
Yep, you can't do that. Bylaw number 48.
Skip
Nope.
that too.
That's a little bit delayed as well. Okay, try 49. Richard.
That bylaw number 49, 2018, being a bylaw to authorize the bereavement clerk to sign on behalf of council a temporary easement agreement between the Corporation of the Township of North Huron and Deems Holdings Inc. to allow a temporary easement upon, over, in, under, and across the lands of 431 Queen Street, Blyth, to conduct renovations to the building located at 437 441 Queen Street, Blyth, be introduced, read a first, second, third, and final time, signed by the reading clerk and engrossed in bylaw.
Councillor Knott and Councillor Ritzman-Tenenga, all in favor? Carried. Okay, announcements. We'll go to 12.1. North Huron West Cast Community Complex HVAC. If you can fill us in a little more, Pat, please.
So unfortunately, the quote I received was after council agenda was posted, and I wanted to bring this item here because what's actually happened is the condenser, or the air conditioning portion of the office heating, ventilation, air conditioning system at the complex was damaged during one of the ice storms. Ice fell from the high level and damaged the unit. We've been living in t-shirts all winter because we're next to the pool in the office, so that heat and humidity comes in. We thought we would have more time to assess the situation after the snow melted, and we could look at the unit and we could see what was going on. What's happened is that the temperature in the office has increased to 28 to 30 degrees, and it's quite humid and uncomfortable to work in, and this unit needs replaced. So I'm actually invoking section 2.7 of the procurement policy to purchase this unit under emergency procedures. The quote is for $7,700 for the entire unit, labor and everything. We have $20,000 in the general facility funds in the budget, which is used for such emergencies as they are presented. They're not predicted when the budget is created. And when the budget was created back in November, this was not anticipated. So I'm asking council to approve this request and move forward and not go through the entire procurement procedure of getting 2 more additional quotes, assessing those. We need to purchase this now, and the provider has mentioned they can order it and receive it in 3 days and have it up and running quite soon. It's $7,700, the condensing unit. It's a 5-ton, plus it has ambient controls for winter. So it is, and it has to be mounted on the wall. So we're moving where it currently is to prevent future ice damage.
Seconded?
I will second, but I have a question.
Okay, go ahead with the question.
Insurance. What's our deductible again?
10,000.
Okay, thank you.
Nice try.
Yeah. We thought about that too.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor of the motion? Carried. Okay, there's been a card gotten that we were going to send to the developer in the Blyth development. His father died over the weekend, so that we were just going to have council sign it. Don't think we need a motion for that. But I thought that it'd be a nice touch to know that we care about people's families.
Yes.
Okay. Closed session is next. And do I have a motion to go in camera? Deputy Reeve and Councillor Wadden, all in favor? Carried. Okay.